Good evening, everybody. Welcome to First Center for Spiritual Living in New York City. I can see a whole bunch of faces on the screen. So welcome to those of you who are on the Zoom call, first of all. And those of you who are watching us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, send us a message and we can send you an invitation to Zoom. Zoom is really an amazing thing. I read a lot of messages through the week, and people who listen, their feedback is they get so much out of hearing from you, the people who share after our gathering on Thursday and also on Sunday. So we go around. We don't like to put anybody on the spot. You can just say, hi, I'm from wherever you're from, and you can check in. It's a way of building community, and you might just be helping some other people too, because they can hear a teacher or a minister, teach a lesson, which is good, but they oftentimes can relate as much or more with the callers. So it's a way of doing service, and it's probably good for us, each of us, to share when you can. I'm looking for the book. I found the book. Tonight's lesson is a blend of other lessons. For those of you who are here for the first time, Louise Hay has had a relationship of sorts with all of us, with me certainly, since her book, You Can Heal Your Life, came out in the mid-'80s. I somehow or another got involved with the book and became a facilitator of a weekly group in Florida. And I kept doing it ever since, in every type of venue, from churches to the school system in Florida, to institutions. And we have these weekly classes, and the classes are always an opportunity for people to connect and to be reminded. It's not that we teach anything radically different from week to week, but all of us are evolving. So we come to the classes. It's a timeout during our busy week, and it's a place where we can always reflect and be reminded of certain things, certain truths that are very easy to forget in our daily living. So let's take a look at a few thoughts for tonight. This particular book is all graphics and it's difficult to read, but Jimmy will get me the other one. You've seen her book in different editions. This is the one that's beautiful, that I find it not so easy to read anymore. Okay. In the beginning of Louise Hay's book, something I would suggest everybody do, if you haven't done it already, to do two things. If you have a smartphone, for example, I would suggest everybody go to Google Play and or iTunes and get an audio copy of a piece that she did, which was either called What I Believe and or Deep Relaxation. I've seen it sold either way. And I think it's $4.99, or it was the last time I downloaded it. And in it, you can listen to, in Louise Hay, using her own voice, her talk for I think it's about 20 minutes. I can't remember exactly. And she will go over and over some of the ideas I'm going to talk about tonight. I've shared that audio with so many hundreds of people over the years, and I've worked with people personally, one-on-one and in groups, and they tell me that audio and that reminder is really great. So that's just a suggestion that comes to mind for me tonight as I'm looking at her material. The other thing is, I've read the book many times, and I suggest each of you look and see what parts of it help you. But some of the key ideas, the first would be, every thought you think is creating your future. And as you come into the science of mind teaching or new thought, we teach you that your thoughts are things, right? Your thoughts are creative. We teach you about living the affirmative life when you come here. I'm reminded of a time when I was in my early 30s and I encountered a religious science practitioner in Boca, in Florida. And her name was Mary, and I was very fond of her and vice versa. And she said to me, Greg, you were the child of a lesser God. And she was trying to say, after she asked me questions, and she said, did you used to pray when you were in trouble? I said, yes. And did you used to pray asking for God to fix something, heal something? And I would say yes. And so she said, you were always praying, and she said, you were probably oftentimes disappointed. And I said, that's true. And she said, so your prayers were largely, from how you were in your 30s, unanswered. And I said, yeah, they didn't seem to be. And that's why she said you were the child of a lesser God. And what she was trying to get me to understand from a new thought perspective and from a self-healing perspective, she said the universe so loves you that it responds to your every single thought. You can't bargain with the universe. What the universe does is it acts reflectively. It responds to you creatively. And your thoughts are actually things. So the totality of your thinking week by week has a way of producing a reflection in your day-to-day living. As within, so without. You've heard these things before. Whatever lives within me plays outside of me. So we do our work, we do our healing work in consciousness always. Most of the world that you deal with in your day-to-day living is different. People are interacting with one another, and someone acts and someone reacts, and there's a lot of acting and there's a lot of reacting. And that's the way of life, as most people understand it. But as you get into the world of new thought, you're going to understand that we're really talking more about the world of consciousness, the world of mind. And we're letting people understand that there's power, as Ernest Holmes used to say, for good in the universe, greater than each of us, but we're a part of it, right? And it responds to us. It responds to us affirmatively. It responds to us at our highest level of knowing. It brings forth new and great experiences. So we have all these different expressions and ways of saying it, one of which was taught to me is, I am the author of my own experience. And that's a good thing to ponder. I am the author of my own experience. The tendency for most people is to blame other people for whatever is going on in their life. So, in other words, we make our life about someone else. He did this, she did that, they did this, and it's because of someone else, and it's because of this. And that's not what we teach you here. When Louise Hay says in the first opening part of this book, we are each responsible for all our life experiences, she's never for 1 second saying we're to blame for anything. But she's saying we're responsible and that we draw to us everything. If you don't want to have all that stuff in your life, the stuff I'm talking about, right? Then it's smart of us to start hitching our wagon to a star. Ralph Waldo Emerson, who was a great inspirational source for Louise Hay, Ernest Holmes, and all these new thought authors, would suggest that we raise our sights, hitch our wagon to the stars. Michelle Obama in recent years, when they go low, we go high. It's really such fantastic advice because we don't change other people. We never can. You will never be able to. The only thing we can change really is our own selves and our own consciousness. So we are each responsible for our own selves and our own consciousness. My job is to lift me up. and keep reminding myself, right? And that would be yours too. We had an old song we used to sing at some of the centers. You don't hear it so much anymore. It was borrowed from the old religions. How great thou art. And really that's a reminder, if you can bring it into your being, how great you are. Each of you are individualizations of this, what we call one life. Individualizations of it, which means whatever God is, or whatever this creative source activity is, you are that also. It lives in you, moves in you, and it has its dwelling in you. It's there. You have an internal guidance system that's inspiring you, causing a restlessness for you to experience more life. Are you longing for more is a question that's come up in recent music. And the answer is, yeah, each of us are wanting to create and express ourselves in a greater way. Louise Hay would say, after we realize we have the power, right? Then the point of power, she said, is always in the present moment. So it doesn't matter what's happened to you. Well, it matters, but the thing is, whatever's gone on in the past, in terms of the patterns that, you've been cycling and looping through things. Maybe you've been in relationships that haven't been great and jobs that haven't been great. And maybe there's patterns within you that haven't really worked out very, very well. It doesn't matter in the sense of whatever happened yesterday. The founder of this particular center, Raymond Charles Barker, always said, yesterday ended last night. And to tie that into what Louise Hay is saying in this lesson is, the point of power is always here. It's today. Louise would have you, in her lessons, ask you, she'd practically plead with you to release the past and forgive everyone. And that's a big deal in the sense, I know a lot of people believe in forgiveness, and we talk about it. But if you scan the people you know, and you scan, is there anyone really that you're still not speaking to and you want nothing to do with? And, wherever we have any of this kind of energy bottled up inside of us, where there's any type of lingering anger or hurt, or wherever we have it towards ourselves, wherever it shows up within ourselves where we're not very proud of something, where we've kind of stuffed it, and it brings forth worry and concern and trouble, that's the type of stuff that we want to be able to release and forgive. Because wherever it exists within anybody, it's a spot, and it's a spot that will cause you trouble. I remember Jacqueline Small, who wrote a line that I recall. She said, all our battered places need to come to light. So the places within any of us and all of us where we're not very proud, or we're not very happy, or we're worried, or we're ashamed, or we have a sense of guilt, or whatever it is, we want to bring a sense of forgiveness into any and all of those areas. And the realization, which Louise said in her book, that you were doing the best you could at the time. You were doing the best you could with the information, the understanding, and the awareness that you had at the time. And you might still have guilt and remorse and thinking, yeah, but I really made some horrible mistakes. And the fact of the matter is, most people have made what they would feel in their own minds horrible mistakes in their lives. They think that they're the only one, when in fact, most human beings by definition make mistakes, what is it? To err is human, or something divine. We are spiritual beings in having a human experience, and we make mistakes. So what we do is, in this teaching, we begin to love, accept, and approve of ourselves as we are right here, right now, with our mistakes and with our flaws. Because we know we're learning here that we came into this world and we learned a whole bunch of stuff when we're children, and We have a lot of things within us that would suggest that we're not wonderful, we're not great. And we come into a class like this and you begin to unlearn a lot of the things you learned. You begin to unlearn the things that would suggest that you're not okay. You begin to learn that you're not only okay, but you're more than okay. Not beyond being more than okay, that you are great. And beyond that, that you are an individualization of this one fantastic life. You are actually a part of the great it, the thing, it, we want to call it source, we want to call it God, we want to call it, the one. You are one with the one. So as you come into this teaching, we wake up and we contemplate and we realize I am one with all of life. And the universe attempts to get our attention in all kinds of interesting ways, as you all know. We can learn to commune with it, and then we can have our moments of inspiration through meditation and communing with Spirit. We can allow guidance, because it's always there trying to get our attention. Or we can keep really busy and try to tune it out, but that doesn't usually work for very long for most people. Life brings forth lessons always. And if you pay attention, you get them sooner than later. If you try to drown them out and push them away, I've learned, and I believe they come back. We have an old saying in our circles, same song, different verse, a little bit louder and a little bit worse. And all that means is you can get the lessons early, or you don't get them, in which case you'll get them again. And probably there'll be bigger lessons. In our Science of Mind classes, we used to say, I'd like to learn by getting a nudge rather than getting hit by a cosmic 2x4. And it's not that life is out to get us, because it's just the opposite of that. Life is unfolding within us and through us. And so as we learn to commune with it and be open to it and open to the changes that are involved in living, and align ourselves with the givingness of life, then you're going with the flow and you're going to go from glory to glory because you're open to what Spirit is and what Spirit's trying to express through you. And that's another part of it. Spirit, as I understand it, as I teach it, as we teach it, is longing to express itself in greater ways through each and every one of us. So from something I said on Sunday, it doesn't work well to be hiding our light under a bushel. Each of you are here, you've come here to express yourself in greater and greater ways. So we come here on Thursdays and Sundays to help fan that flame a little bit, or in some cases, help you ignite the light that is within you and have you remember how great you are. The affirmations with Louise Hay are wonderful. Some of the favorites that we have are, it would do us good to say, I love, accept, and approve of you exactly as you are. Or speaking to yourself, I love, accept, and approve of you exactly as you are. And say those things to yourself. Say them in the mirrors. Connect with yourself. Look in your eyes and keep building up that positive messaging within yourself to a point where you actually, just beyond saying it, you begin to believe how great thou art. Can you change? Yeah, certainly. You can change quicker than you think. Resentments and grievances and these old patterns become dissolved. If you get really involved in our teaching, we can teach you how to do affirmative prayer. And that prayer process, beyond affirmations, you will actually work on dissolving the negative patterns of thought that most of us have deep within us. Without teaching a class on affirmative prayer, the textbook, in the glossary of the textbook, Ernest Holmes would say it's the time, the art, the method of ridding this negativity or this negation from our consciousness. So affirmative prayer gives us a way, a tool to neutralize the negatives that are oftentimes just beneath the surface. But it's not complicated. I'm fond of saying there will be a quickening as you begin to pay attention to the conversation that you're having. Your life is a reflection of your inner dialogue. And if you begin to pay attention to that dialogue and stop yourself, stop in the name of love, stop yourself when you're going to the negative side of life, and replace the negatives with the positives. As you do that, you're going to be amazed before you're halfway through. You're going to start to see things shift. Because in fact, there is a shift in your consciousness. You're beginning to go high. You're beginning to hitch your wagon to stars. You're being resolute in your desire to demonstrate a better life and a more expansive life. And because of your efforts, you will begin to see, you'll be able to see all the good things that are here. The kingdom has always been at hand. It's never been denied anybody. It's only been denied those who have the inability to see it. So we practice. We practice being aware that there is a presence and a power. It's here, it's now, it's in me, operating through me. It's in each of you, operating through each of you now. So we got to challenge ourselves to see it, practice it. I'm fond of an old New Thought teacher. I've had many. Edwina Gaines. She used to use the word God and good interchangeably. So she'd be talking about seeing the good or the God or the good. And this would be a little game for yourself of practice. In your day-to-day operation, wherever you are in the subway, or you're out in the car, or you're in a challenging conversation, you could be telling yourself, there must be a pony in this. That's another joke or another way of saying it. There must be good in this. I could see good in this. We have the ability to either be fault finders, or we have the ability to see what's good and wonderful. Now, how do you want to play it? That's what I want to ask you. You have the ability to see the good and keep being determined to see the good. And I'm going to promise you, if that's your preoccupation, if that's your intention, that's what you're going to see. If you want to do it the other way, you can. You can be the person who analyzes everything and tears everything apart and dissects everything. And the way you're going to feel is going to be very different. So that's a lesson I learned early on. I've passed on to many of you many times. How do you want to do it? It's entirely up to you. It's a practice. We talk about practicing the presence, practicing seeing the good. The power is with you to play it and do it either way. It's entirely up to you. We would suggest the better way, the more expansive way, is to trust life, as Louise would say, to trust life and realize that there's a power and there's an energy that's corrective by nature, healing and bringing us all to higher places. It's evoluting along within me and within you and everyone and all the time. So Louise would say, look to life, that life within you, your life, and challenge yourself to see the good, the light in everyone. And always, one of my perennial favorites is the realization that everyone is doing the best they can with the information, the understanding, and the awareness that they have all the time. Keep that within you. They're doing the best they can with the information, the understanding, and the awareness that they have all the time. Love holds no grievances. Beautiful line. What's within you that's holding beef or holding grievances against anybody? Because it's not going to help you. If you're the person who has the ability to release the negativity, don't wait for the other party. Release it within you. Be the person who builds the bridge if you can. Sometimes that's not so easy to do. But these are some of the steps we can take. In closing, the most important thing to do if you're actually getting more seriously involved in this teaching as a practice is just start paying attention to what your thoughts and thinking is all about. And have the willingness to challenge the negative thoughts, to replace them, to neutralize them with life-affirming thoughts. And again, you'll be amazed. It requires a little bit of effort and mindfulness, but you have the ability to do this. All the universe, gets improved as we level up. The whole universe levels up. Everyone benefits. So we do our work in consciousness here more than anything else. And then we take steps in our day-to-day living. That's enough for me. Now I want to see what the conversation's been like with any of you. When you go around, you can say, hi, this is Joe, or this is Sue, and I'm from Kalamazoo, or wherever you are, and just say hello. Or you can say what it's been like being you this week. And we'll keep moving it along. So thank you very much. We'll see you in just 1 minute.